What's up, my comic comrades? With the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, which is also the first official appearance of Wolverine in the MCU, everybody's favorite adamantium-clawed mutant is back in the spotlight in a big way. In fact, the character just wrapped up a massive crossover story arc with Sabertooth called the Sabertooth War, which we covered in this episode right here. So Wolverine is everywhere right now. This, of course, has fans, us included, pretty freaking excited because he is easily the most known and loved mutant in the Marvel Universe. But the question we're asking about Wolverine today is just exactly how powerful is the 5'3" Canadian mutant? And to figure that out, we're going to take a look at several of his greatest feats over the years, so let's get to it. The first thing we need to do is establish the exact powers and abilities that Wolverine has at his disposal. And as we've already established, most of it is already well known, so we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Wolverine, also known as Logan, is a mutant with a combination of innate and artificially enhanced abilities that make him one of the most formidable characters in the Marvel Universe. His primary mutant power is his healing factor, which allows him to recover from virtually any injury at an accelerated rate. This healing factor also makes him resistant to most diseases and poisons, and it slows down his aging process significantly, allowing him to maintain peak physical condition for over a century. Logan's skeleton has also been bonded with the nearly indestructible metal alloy known as adamantium, making his bones virtually unbreakable. This enhancement was the result of the Weapon X program, an experimental military project. And the adamantium extends to his retractable claws, which can cut through almost any material, making them insanely deadly weapons in combat. But the evolution of his claws go a bit further than that, and we actually posted a full episode on that topic alone in this episode right here. So make sure to check that out as well. Anyway, in addition to his healing factor and adamantium skeleton and claws, Wolverine possesses superhuman senses. His heightened sense of smell allows him to track individuals across great distances, and his enhanced hearing and sight make him exceptionally aware of his surroundings. These abilities contribute to his reputation as one of the best trackers and hunters in the Marvel Universe. Wolverine's physical abilities also go beyond those of a typical human. He has superhuman strength, agility, and reflexes, allowing him to perform incredible feats of athleticism in combat. His combat skills are also further augmented by his extensive training in various martial arts, military tactics, and hand-to-hand combat techniques. Overall, Wolverine is a master of virtually all forms of combat, making him a formidable opponent even without his mutant powers. Another major ability Logan wields is his mental resilience. His long life and the numerous traumas he has endured have made him highly resistant to psychic attacks and mental manipulation. His willpower and determination are legendary, often allowing him to push through pain and continue fighting when others would have given up. And finally, Wolverine's Berserker Rage is a unique and terrifying aspect of his powers. When he's pushed to his limits, he can enter a state of uncontrollable fury, greatly enhancing his strength, speed, and ferocity in battle. And while in this state, he becomes a nearly unstoppable force, driven purely by instinct and a primal urge to survive and destroy his enemies. Alright, so now that his powers and abilities are clear, let's look at the examples that most demonstrates how powerful and dangerous Logan really is.
Hold up, a nod to the best Marvel movies incoming. Today's sponsor Fanhome just launched their Marvel Movie Museum collection, and it is something to behold. Fanhome is no stranger to the Variant channel. In fact, you may remember us telling you about their amazing Infinity Gauntlet, Millennium Falcon, or 1966 Batmobile kits, to name a few. They have some of the hottest pop culture collectibles out there, and it's all made with high quality materials, so we are big fans. Well, Fanhome has outdone themselves yet again with their new collector edition Marvel movie replicas. I mean, check these things out. They have Cap's shield, busts from Iron Man, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Guardians, and Loki, along with weapons and artifacts like Tony Stark's arc reactor, Mjolnir, and more. The helmets are about 3 inches in height, weapons around 4 inches tall, and the artifacts are about 3 to 3.5 inches in width, and they are all forged in metal and ABS. Each of these pieces are faithful reproductions of the originals that we can't wait to add to the Variant collection. Not to mention, every replica comes with a high-quality magazine exploring the hidden details of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is actually one of the biggest things we love about Fanhome. With each subscription, you get a monthly delivery that will feature one of these dope replicas, along with a great magazine that has all kinds of goodness in it. But don't take our word for it, check it out for yourself. Just click the link in the description, and while you're on their website, make sure to scroll through their many other great kits from Marvel, Star Trek, ET, and a lot more. And while you're setting up your very first subscription, make sure to use our code VARIANT with the link in the description below so they know we sent you. And now back to Eris and the rest of today's show.
Okay, so the first instance on deck is a moment from Uncanny XMen Volume 1, Issue 133. This is an iconic cover and issue for a good reason. In the issue, Wolverine goes up against several masked mercenaries who work for the Hellfire Club. We see Wolverine hiding in the rafters before dropping down saying, "Surprise!" Captions say the mercenaries react with desperate, deadly speed. It doesn't save them. Neither does their skills. Wolverine never stops, never slows, each move into the next in a frightening display of destruction. He's doing what he does best and having the time of his life. Needless to say, Wolverine makes quick work of the mercenaries, slashing all but one to the ground. The last mercenary points his gun at Wolverine saying, "Don't move, fella." Wolverine says to himself, he's scared. Can't say as I blame him either. Let's see if I can make him feel worse. "Hey bub, I know what you're thinking. He's hurt and he's 5 meters away from me, and I got a full clip of ammo in my rifle. Question is, can I kill Wolverine before he can reach me and cut me into a kebab with those freaky claws of his?" Well, bub, Wolverine is virtually unkillable. Wolverine's claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, capable of slicing through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter. And 5 meters of floor ain't much distance at all for me. It's your play, hero. I'm waiting. At this point, the mercenary pretty much pisses himself and drops the gun as Wolverine blitzes the man with him saying, "What are you doing? Stay back. I give up. I surrender. No, please." Wolverine tells himself, "I've mellowed some since joining the X-Men in the old days. I wouldn't have given this punk a choice." Telling the dude, "Be cool, I ain't gonna kill you, I ain't even gonna hurt you, provided you tell me all there is to know about the Hellfire Club hotshots who clobbered the X-Men." This is just a really badass moment showing how Wolverine can take on multiple people at once, but also how intimidating he can be, making a mercenary surrender. But with that said, let's jump to World War Hulk X-Men issue 2. Wolverine is fighting the Hulk as he tends to do, and while the two are fighting, the Hulk says, "I know I can't kill you, but there are other options." Now, though Wolverine isn't faring too well in this specific fight, the Hulk full-on knows he can't take him out permanently, so he has to settle for knocking him unconscious by smashing his brain against the inside of his metal skull. So clearly Wolverine does not win this fight, but the fact that the Hulk knows he can't kill Wolverine because of how durable he is something to be said. Because if a powerhouse like the Hulk can't do it, it's pretty much impossible. The next instance we're going to cite as a demonstration of how powerful Wolverine is comes from Wolverine issue 13 from October 1989, where we see the Storm God Godbow trying to rip Wolverine apart. But he quickly realizes that's not going to work, literally saying, "Why can't I rip you apart?" Wolverine says to himself, "Adamantium bones," but he doesn't have to know that. Then proceeds to slash his way out of Baal's grip and actually manages to escape. So in the end, a literal god couldn't rip Wolverine apart because of his adamantium skeleton. I'd say that's a statement. Next, we have an insane feat of Wolverine getting his heart ripped out, but he just recovers and defeats his enemy in Logan issue 3 from 2008. We see the ghost of Lieutenant Warren from World War II rip Wolverine's heart out and hold it in his hands, saying boom. But Wolverine can regrow his organs, so he regrows his heart and goes after Warren, taking him down. It's pretty ridiculous that someone was literally holding Wolverine's heart in their hand, having just ripped it out of his chest, and Wolverine was still standing there. But not only that, after a short while, Wolverine recovers, goes after the dude who did this to him, and takes him out. It's easily one of the most badass Wolverine moments. As we said earlier, one of the things that makes Wolverine so formidable is his adamantium claws, as they're virtually indestructible and can cut through almost anything. And he's demonstrated multiple times what he's capable of doing with said claws. Hell, in the Infinity Gauntlet issue 4 from 1991, we saw Wolverine stab the Mad Titan Thanos right through the chest. If you've seen the Marvel movies, you know why that's so impressive. But what's crazier is Thanos is even a bigger threat in the comics. So the fact that Wolverine did this in the comics is more impressive than if he did it to the MCU version of Thanos. But it doesn't stop there. In Savage Wolverine issue 5, we see Wolverine's claws are capable of piercing the Hulk's skin, as he puts both sets of claws right through the Hulk's head. And this isn't the first time Wolverine has been able to penetrate Hulk's skin. It's a fairly common occurrence as the two come into confrontation often, like Wolverine using his claws to cut Hulk yet again in World War Hulk X-Men issue 1. But he's also drawn blood from Gladiator, who's a character of Superman level strength. Wolverine literally puts his claws right through Gladiator's shoulder in Annihilator's Earthfall issue 2. But if none of that drove it home, Wolverine's claws are able to draw blood from Thor, the God of Thunder, as we see in Wolverine vs. Thor issue 2 from 2009. He even impales Thor straight through the back with both sets of claws. I will say Thor was not going hard on Wolverine, as Wolverine was only attacking Thor because he was under the delusion that Thor was Sabertooth, but nonetheless, he was still somewhat holding his own against the God of Thunder. Okay, so we already mentioned that he can grow his organs back, as we saw him recover from having his heart ripped out, but he can also regrow limbs and have them reattached simply by putting them back where they're supposed to be, as we saw in Wolverine 44. In the issue, we see Wolverine's hands and feet have been severed from his body, so they're just crudely sewn back on to stay in place, as he tells Aurora, doesn't have to be pretty, just make it stick. At which point, he essentially heals right away. Now, do you guys want a crazy durability feat? Because in Logan issue 2 from 2008, a bomb, a freaking nuke, was dropped on Wolverine while in Hiroshima, destroying everything around as nukes tend to do. But on the very last page of the issue, we see Wolverine emerge from the destruction raw and pink as his body is regenerating from the blast. Wolverine is standing on his feet healing, and we could see his spine and skeleton as the muscle and tissues start to regrow. This is wild. Just moments after being made to ash, he's back up on his feet and already regrowing his whole body. You also have the time from Wolverine issue 126 where we see Sabertooth and Wolverine exchanging blows as they tend to do. During their fight, Wolverine says everything to Sabertooth is his for the taking, his for the killing, unless someone can stop him. Others have tried. His skills are those of a barroom brawler. Mostly like his namesake, he depends on instincts, which for combat are superb, coupled with phenomenal speed and strength and a will as indomitable as my own. Me, I've learned from the best. My instincts are honed and tempered by that knowledge. He cuts, I cut deeper. He hits, I hit harder. We give and take wounds that would have killed a dozen lesser men, and Sabertooth gets the worst of it. Now, what I want to focus on is that last bit that Wolverine said. We give and take wounds that would have killed a dozen lesser men. He straight up tells us all those blows we just exchanged would have completely annihilated a dozen men that weren't up to our standards. That's kind of badass. Now, I briefly mentioned this next bit earlier as an example of Wolverine being able to pierce Hulk's skin in Savage Wolverine issue 5, but what I didn't mention is not only was he able to stab Hulk right through the head, but he also won the whole fight. In the issue, Wolverine squares up against the Hulk saying, "The bruiser's mine." He then leaps in the air saying, "Time to take you down, bub," and puts both of his claws through Hulk's head, temporarily killing him. Hulk falls on his face and Wolverine jumps off victorious. Now, obviously the Hulk doesn't die permanently, as Hulk arguably has a better healing factor than Wolverine, but the point is, Wolverine beat the Hulk no matter how short-lived it was. Okay, let's sum this up with a few of Wolverine's Berserker feats, as that's him at his peak. In Uncanny X-Men 96, a Demon Lord is about to defeat and kill the X-Men, but this causes Wolverine to go berserker. Captions from the comic even say, "There's a saying about Wolverines, the four-legged kind. You could push them just so far and they'll go for your throat. And they won't back off until you're dead or they are. The same goes for the mutant known only as Wolverine. Push him too far and he goes mad, and when he does, he kills." As we see him brutally kill the Demon Lord. Wolverine sits there with regret looking at the dead demon saying, 10 years of psycho training, hypnotism, drug therapy, 10 years of praying, and I cut him into pieces without a thought. He looks at his fellow X-Men saying, "Nothing changes, Professor. I thought I learned to control myself. I guess I was wrong. And you want to know something funny? I'm glad. Because it was the only thing that saved his fellow X-Men and himself." Then we have another time he goes berserker on Wendigo. Captions literally say as he's tearing apart Wendigo, he becomes fury personified. A grim, unstoppable engine of destruction. The pace is inhuman. He feels a berserker rage build within him, the equivalent of days of non-stop combat compressed into a matter of minutes. And through it all, Wolverine denies pain, denies fatigue, denies everything but the will to win. Wolverine says after this, any other foe would have been smashed or cut into a shish kebab by now. But Wendigo is the next best thing to invulnerable. I can hurt him temporarily and stun him, but no more than that, no matter how hard I try. And I'm trying really hard. Wendigo is such a big threat, he was able to go up against Hulk and Wolverine in a berserker rage, and Wolverine was able to put a stop to him temporarily. As Wolverine said, he's the next best thing to invulnerable. Now I'm gonna end on probably my favorite berserker moment that demonstrates how powerful Wolverine is, and that's from the Wolverine Exit Wounds comic book. In the very last story of the issue, we see Wolverine go up against Venom. Venom sneak attacks Wolverine saying, well, look what dropped into my lap. Lunch. Wolverine replies, "Get your mitts off me, damn freak." Wolverine is able to escape his grasp, and Venom says, "You're a slippery little thing, aren't you?" Wolverine responds, "You're ugly as sin, but so what? I have no beef with you, Venom. Back off." Venom replies, "Or you'll what? Whine while I crush you into my digestion tract?" As Venom continues his attack, Wolverine says to himself, "I might be able to wear the symbiote down. I've done it before, provided I could stay out of his mouth." He tells Venom, "Okay, bub, bring it on. Let's see what you got." Venom says, "Where to start? Arms, legs, maybe we just start at the head. Then gobble our way down to his heart." Venom is able to get on top of Wolverine, but Eddie peeks out for a second saying, "Logan, it's me, Eddie. It's the symbiote. It's too strong. I can't fight it alone." Wolverine tells him there's one thing that might work. He tells him, "Then for God's sake, whatever it is, man, do it." Wolverine says, "A berserker rage." I hate summoning it, and it's almost impossible to bring on deliberately, but between the tropical heat and Venom's pummeling getting me so worked up, it might be my only shot, as he slashes Venom with his claws. We then see a tired Wolverine with Venom goop dripping everywhere, as captions say. I don't remember much else after that. It takes several minutes to calm down afterward. Heart still pounding. pouring sweat, mind is mush. Something or someone has collapsed below me in a heap. Brock and the symbiote have just passed out. For now, all I can do is gather my wits and brace myself for whatever comes next. As he hunches over a defeated Venom, my people, if that does not demonstrate the level of absolute relentless savagery bottled up in Wolverine, I don't know what will. But there you have it, friends, how powerful Wolverine is. I think we got the point across that Wolverine is easily one of the most formidable mutants in all of comics. Certainly not Omega level, but one of the best brawlers and hardest to kill mutants. Let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Other than that, we will see you next time when we talk about all things comics.